Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. Hungary's government held a national consultation on Ukraine's bid to join the European Union, citing concerns over migration, subsidies and national sovereignty. Critics argue the move serves more as political messaging ahead of upcoming elections than a genuine policy referendum. As this debate continues, questions arise over its implications for EU unity and regional politics. Joining us today on TVP World to discuss these issues is Istvan Szent-Iványi, former Hungarian Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister. Welcome, sir, to TVP World, and thank you for taking the time.
Good morning, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Good morning, good to have you. So what was the point of this consultation, sir?
It was only one question, whether you support or not the European Union membership of Ukraine. That was a usual technique of the government propaganda technique, to send out so-called national consultation. It is called as a national consultation, send out to every household, to every adult citizens, and you can send back the filled-in questionnaire. Sometimes more questions, at that time only one. It took 60 days, just on Friday evening ended up. We don't know the results, but the results is unimportant and incredible, and without any credibility. As you know, according to the statistics, however, it's not a transparent process. No one knows exactly how many will be filled in and sent back. They told it's 2 million sent back, and more tomorrow or day after tomorrow will be published final results. But it doesn't make any importance, because we know that most of the questionnaires or the question has been answered by internet, and internet everyone could fill in several times if he or she wishes. There was no any control, no any transparency. That was rather a joke than a real consultation. And 2 million is also nothing. There are 8 million Hungarian adult citizens who are voting right. 2 million is also only 25%, but I'm sure that they were not 2 million that they filled in. But of course, they followed the government propaganda. That was a very powerful and aggressive government propaganda against Ukraine in the last 60 days. Everywhere, you couldn't avoid it. You can see in the billboards on the streets and the posters and advertisements in television, in YouTube, in Facebook, in Instagram, and everywhere you can imagine. And that was always a very harsh smear campaign. They are saying that the Ukrainians will take their job, they will ruin the Hungarian agriculture, they will bring the Ukrainian mafia, the human trafficking and mafia crimes to Hungary, and so on. That was really disgusting and deplorable what has happened to them.
Understood. So we have 2 months of propagandizing, according to your analysis. Lots and lots of public money being spent on this exercise, and to produce something that actually has no legal effect. I mean, aren't there better things that Viktor Orban could have done to support his election chances next year than this?
You know, the major objective of the whole exercise, that was domestic policy. Of course, everything is focusing now on the next year election. According to the latest polls, the alternative, the TISA party, that's the name of the party, Mr. Magyar party, has a very significant lead ahead of Orban. Of course, he wouldn't like to give up, and therefore he used every possible means and tools. He cannot promise anything for the Hungarians because the economy is in a very bad shape, inflation is high, GDP growth is almost nil, and just now there is a new statistics of the Eurostat that the Hungarian families are the poorest in the European Union. The country GDP is higher, but it is very unjust and unfairly allocated. Therefore, the average Hungarian is really in a very bad situation. He cannot give any other hope, and therefore he used the enemies, the scapegoats. Now it's the Ukrainians and Brussels. They are the enemies and scapegoats, and it started even earlier, but now that was the peak in the last 60 days. But why he would like to use it? Because he would like to push his major alternative, Mr. Magyar Party, that's the chief opposition party, in the corner that he's supporting Ukraine. Because he's a member of the European Parliament and he supported some of the declarations and resolutions the European Parliament supporting Ukraine. And he said Ukraine membership in the European Union severely damages Hungary, and of course the opposition is supporting these damages and this very faithful plan of Zelensky and von der Leyen altogether, that they have a plan to destroy Hungary. And the major agent of that is Mr. Magyar and the opposition party. Therefore, he is building up an enemy an enemy image. The Ukrainians, they are the enemies, and only Mr. Orban can protect the Hungarians with the support of the Hungarian people. But it is not the support of the Hungarian people.
Sorry to interrupt you, but does he have the support of the Hungarian people when it comes to this issue?
You know, unfortunately, according to the different polls, more than half of the Hungarian population is manipulated by the government propaganda. And they are maybe not that hostile to Ukrainians than the government propaganda, but they have some resentment and reservation, and they are not supporting really. That's it. And of course, it is encouraged and strengthened very much by the government propaganda. We started very early, in 2017, started the propaganda against Ukraine during the time when Ukraine adopted a legislation on education. Maybe you know about that because also the Polish minority is affected and Hungarian minority is affected by that. And from now on started, but it was more or less a low level, but that started that. And in the last 3 years, since the beginning of the war, it's stronger and stronger, this propaganda, the pro-Russian and anti-Ukraine propaganda, and now it's on the peak. That was on the peak. But it has also a foreign political objective. We have to put forward not only the domestic policy, but the foreign policy. On the one hand, he would like to make a favor for Putin and the Russian government. As you know, the Hungarian government has a very close relationship with Russian government. Mr. Szijjártó, the foreign minister, just a few days ago visited St. Petersburg and the Economic Forum, and he has got meetings with those persons who are on the sanction list, leading Russian officials on the sanction list. And every time they did it. And on the other hand, he's using as a piece of blackmailing against Brussels. They see that if they can refer to the referendum and to the will of the Hungarian people against Ukraine, they can have a greater room of maneuvering and negotiating power against Brussels.
Understood, but as you alluded to earlier, the Tisza party, headed by Peter Magyar, is about 15 points ahead in the polls. What is responsible for their popularity relative to Viktor Orban's Fidesz party?
The major source of his popularity, that the people are fed up with the regime, fed up with the economic performance, which is very bad. And not only this year, but in the last 5 years, practically. It's a downturn of the Hungarian economy, the highest inflation we did have for 2 subsequent years in Hungary. And that's important. And the corruption. As you know, the corruption is really peaking now in Hungary. There are conspicuously corruption. There are some nouveau riches the new richer who are demonstrating their richness and luxury, that the private jets and private yachts and apartments in New York, apartments in Dubai, and so on. That was a big scandal in the National Bank. The son of the governor of the National Bank practically robbed out the National Bank. It's more than 1 billion euros damage caused by the National Bank and so on. That are the things that now the people are fed up, and that's the major reason. Not Ukraine is the major reason. The major reason is that, but the people would like to get rid of that, and they need a new start.
Understood. Now, I'd like to talk about the relationship between Hungary and the European Union. Now, clearly, Viktor Orban has been, a little bit of a thorn in the side to the EU. How does Peter Magyar feel about the EU, and do you think the chances of Hungary getting closer to Brussels if he were elected to be greater?
I hope so very much. Mr. Peter Magyar is part of the European People's Party, as you know, in the European Parliament. He's a member of the European Parliament there, and he made some of the declaration that he would like to strengthen the relationship with the European Union. He thinks that Hungary's place is in the European Union, not outside of the European Union, and he criticized very much the policy towards the European Union of Mr. Orban. Therefore, I think so. It won't be easy, even in the case if he get the power next year, after the next year election, because the government does have, or the Fidesz does have very strong position in all major institutions: Constitutional Court, Supreme Court, Court of Audit, and so on. And therefore, it won't be an easy exercise, because I'm sure that they are going to hinder and making obstacles for him. But he is hopeful that he can improve the relationship with the European Union. And he would like to do that. He would like to join the prosecution, the European prosecution. You know that Mr. Orban is firmly opposing that for obvious reasons. And therefore he is a Western-minded and pro-European politician.
Understood. Now, talk to me about the relationship. And again, you touched on this, but why is Putin so interested in Hungary and developing his relationship with Viktor Orban? What's in it for Putin?
For Putin, he is a very precious partner, because he can undermine the unity of the European Union, and he can help him in many times. That he makes many favors for Russia. As you know, that he lifted the sanction against Patriarch Kirill, and many other oligarchs who are close to Mr. Putin, and he's always making some hardships for sanctions, and would like to blockade and slow down and watering down the sanctions and so on. I think he made a very good service for Russia. What he gets in exchange for that, I don't know yet. I don't know yet, and many would like to speculate on that in Hungary, because we do not understand why he does it, because for free, it's unimportant and senseless to make it, and we do not see any real exchange or any compensation on behalf of the Russian. They talk that's the energy policy and energy, but Russia providing energy for everyone who are paying for that, and I do not see that Hungary has any special reduction or discount on energy. Of course, the Russian crude oil is cheaper, but not only for us, for everyone who is buying the Russian crude oil is cheaper. The Russian gas is priced according to the Rotterdam stock exchange. As you know, that's the gas trade exchange. Therefore, it's no any discount on that. Therefore, there is no visible and understandable reason behind it. And therefore, there are many speculations that
understood. So, maybe the truth will reveal itself over time. Mr. Szent-Iványi, thank you very much indeed for sharing your analysis with our audience. Have a good day, sir.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and have a good
Thank
day
you.
for you. Thank you. Goodbye.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of World Talks. Don't go away, there are lots more coming up. Goodbye.